Right, hello and welcome to Metal Shaper Tom. You join me and Simon on a road trip, and as you can tell from the title, we're off to go and pick up, or what's left, of a very special car that we've come across and I've purchased and could potentially be the next project for the channel. Right then, before we jump into that, let me just give you a very quick backstory of how this came about. Now, I've made a couple of SS100 bodies, wings and everything in the past, and this person had seen that I'd done so, contacted me to see if I was interested in this car. It sounded too good to be true, so I went down as soon as possible, had a look at what I could see, what was there, and the chassis, the radiator, the bonnets were all laid out, bit of the running gear. I've seen the rest of it all piled up on a bit of a mezzanine office, and yeah, took the plunge. The thing that sold it for me was the history with the car. Now that is just mind-blowing. So I took the plunge, bought it. The week after, went down and collected it. Yeah, so what I'm now going to show you is just us collecting it. We put it all into a pile, put it all into the van. We brought it back to the workshop. Then, very quickly, we just tried to piece it together to give you an idea of what the actual car looks like and the task ahead, a very big task. But hopefully I'm going to sort of sit down and just show you some of the history of the car towards the end of the video. But hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully you can see why I'm excited as I am about the project and the task ahead. So stay tuned. Right, I'm going to try my best to explain a little bit about this car and the history of SS. Now let's start at the beginning, where SS was originally Swallow sidecar, which then became SS, where they made special coach-built bodies on chassis that were already in production. Then they became SS Limited, where they made their own chassis and engines and bodies. And then in 34, 35, it became Jaguar as we know it today. This is a very early 1933 SS2. It was ordered in October 1932 and delivered on the 5th of January 1933. Now in the UK, there are only two surviving cars, one being in the Jaguar Heritage Museum and this one, and it's only just surviving. There are possibly another two in the Netherlands, one in America and one in Italy. Now I spoke to somebody that has worked on the car in Italy and can vouch for that one. The one in America and the Netherlands are information I got from the SS register when I contacted them, but that hasn't been updated in a while, so hopefully they're still around. But basically meaning this is a very rare car. In 34, end of 33, 34, they changed the wings and changed a few things on the car and produced a lot more of them. So there's more surviving 34 cars than the 33. So the interesting fact about this car is it predates the one that's in the museum. Now that's an April car and this is a January car, so meaning it's older, which is a great little bit of history for the car. Now going on to the history, I've got a folder full of paperwork here. The last owner, had it for 65 years and done a splendid job basically of documenting everything. I've got letters in there from Jaguar, the SS Register, the Montague Museum in Bewley, confirming everything about this car, the numbers, the history of it. It's documented in books that I've got here. I've got articles from magazines and papers. So I've got loads of history, which I'll show you as well. But yeah, I was sold alone by this because the stuff I seen in this folder here was just mind-blowing. So it's a great bit of history to go with the car. What I'm now going to do is just quickly walk you around the car, show you what it's like. As we have kind of pieced it together, it's become apparent that there is a huge amount of parts with this car. There's very little missing in running gear wise. Obviously the interior is missing, but we do have the original bench seat, which is really cool. But all the running gear, suspension, all those sort of components are here. We also have a huge amount of spares to go with this car. So I haven't gone through them yet, but I think that would take days to basically go through and sort out. So I shall crack on and show you a bit around the car. Right, okay, let's start off at the front. So as you can see, it has a really striking front grille. It's really pretty. And the later cars had a much larger grille and long swooping wings. So that's how you can tell the difference. So the bonnets are in really good condition. It's a little bit crusty at the back. Obviously the wood in the scuttle panel has seen better days. The doors are a work of art in themselves. Really heavy, really nice, and we call these suicide doors by the way they open. So just walk into the back of the car. So it looks like this car could have had something similar to like a bit of a sunroof. Haven't seen any information on that, but it does all look pretty original. All the rear glass is intact. All this would have been vinyl in the day. It's aluminium on top of the wood, and the vinyl would have been applied on top of that. So here is where a trunk would be. Obviously that's missing. Wings are a little bit crusty, but it does have 2 tanks with it. So if you can just see underneath there, we've only laid out a few components. This is the latest chassis, as it's got stiffening brackets throughout. I don't know if I can quite pick them up underneath there, but it's a reinforced chassis, which means it's a 33 chassis. We'll just go around the other side. Moving on to the inside. So it was really nice to see the original bench seat. I know there's not much left of it, but to actually have that and it matches with all the photos is great. The 4-spoke wheel, which came with this model. The dashboard is a completely different shape to the standard Little 9. So that was very reassuring to see that. The remote gear selector. So it has all the key features that make this, the SS, different to the standard 9. So it was really nice to see all these bits. Just moving on to the engine bay. So the engine is in great condition. It moves really freely. It's very clean. And really, hopefully, fingers crossed, shouldn't take much to turn over. So we do have a lot of the flooring, all the wood to go in there. There's actually all the flooring just there. But we didn't bother piecing it in. So hopefully, it gives you a bit of an idea of the shape and size and the task ahead. Right, so I'm just going to quickly show you some of the things that were in this folder. I've got some lovely photos of the family that had the car before when it was being used. They kindly wrote out an index of basically what's inside here, just documenting all the different dates. This picture here corresponds to this book. We'll just go to the post-it note. You can actually see in this book that this is this car when it was being used. And it's just nice to see that it's featured in the Jaguar book here, the complete illustrated history of Jaguar. So it's nice to see that it features in there. What they then done was just keep all the different clippings, and every time it featured in a different magazine or book, they kept a copy of it. So it's really nice to see, and it's a good part of their history. So moving on. So this is the really important part. Letters from Jaguar Cars Limited, Coventry, dated the 28th of December 1966, stating that the chassis number and the engine number of this car is a 1933 model SS2. So that is, so important for this car. Then goes on to say when it was ordered, and it was ordered in black and green, and it says about the interior, and then these are just letters confirming the history of it. So this is really nice to see. The letters from the Montague Museum, I've got 2 of them there. The SS Register, another 2 letters there. The Standard Motor Club. These are other corresponding letters talking to people about the car and the history, and just finding out more information. Other groups just contacting them. Jaguar Drivers Club. And we've got the owner's personal documents themselves. So we've got the book there. We've got his original bill of receipt. So the 20th of August 1959, he paid a sum of £20, and it's really nice that they sign it with a stamp and then sign over the top of it. So that's what they used to do in the day. And then we've just got all the corresponding paperwork that goes with it. And I've just got some photos of when the car was just stored up recently. And then just lots of other bits of paperwork, all insurance papers and everything like that. So it's just a nice part of history to go with it. And we've just got lots of paperwork again at the back, lots of copies just explaining about the car and the model itself. So that's a very brief, without going into detail, part of history of this car. And we've also got some nice books here, which also features the SS1. And this one I really do like. This is my new purchase to find out a bit more about the car. Cool, getting a bit cold now. Right, so that brings me to the end of the video. Hopefully you've enjoyed what you've seen so far and listening to a bit of the history of the car. Now, what does the future hold for it? I think the first thing I should do is basically make an inner structure and try and support the ash frame before it gets any worse. I'd like to get it stiff enough where I could sort of like bolt the wings on, get the doors on it, find a hinge for the bonnet, get that opening and closing. Also bolt all the running gear on so we can move it in and out the workshop. I think if I can get it to that stage, then taking it to a couple of shows and giving people the opportunity to see a car like this up close before any work commences on it. Because once work does commence, you're never going to see this car in this state again. And I think that's a shame, really. So moving forward, what are the options? You either go down the route of a full restoration, which we all know is very costly and time consuming. Now, I only come down here in the evenings and weekends. And do I want to commit to 4 years of evenings and weekends restoring this and getting it up to a restored standard? We all know that that costs a huge amount of money to do something like that. Or do you go down the route of retaining all the key features and then starting afresh and making a special? It's very controversial, but it does get done a lot and doesn't carry the financial burden as a full restoration. No future has been decided on this car yet. I just thought I'd make a video, try and get it out in the public eye as it's been tucked away for 50 years. All these decisions have been made a lot later down the line. First of all, I think it's just good to try and get it all stiffened up and try and preserve what we've got here. So that is pretty much it. Please like, comment, subscribe, all the normal stuff that we all say at the end of the videos. But please leave a comment. I'd really like to hear people's opinions on this. What do you think I should do? If you've got any history on SS's, I'd love to hear about it. Whether it's good, bad, I'm just open to everything. It's all good that people are just getting involved. And that's the whole point of YouTube. And that is pretty much it. So there'll be plenty more videos of this car coming up. So stick around and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.